Hello everyone, welcome back and thank you so much for stopping by. I truly appreciate you all, especially for your support in this my channel. Thank you so much for always sharing my video. So my people, I bring to you another new update concerning what Mr. Dele Farotimi said in this particular new interview. According to him, he said, we don't have elites in Nigeria. They are all building a country their children can never live in or survive. They are all carrying second passport. And this is nothing but the truth, my people. He really said a lot of things in this particular interview. Let me allow you guys so that you can watch this video in full and hear everything that he said here. But before then, please, if today is your first time here, don't forget to subscribe, like this video, share it as well. Thanks so much for doing so.
So I want to start this conversation around the question of judicial reform and judicial ethics. Now, I think many Nigerians, especially people in the legal profession, and many of us who are also involved in public life, we have a clear understanding that there has to be quite a bit of reform generally in our society, but especially in the judiciary. So I want to start from your own perspective. You have practiced law certainly for more than 2 decades before you opted, I guess, to be a private citizen doing something else. What are the major reforms that you think ought to take place in our judiciary?
Well, we are as a people quite fond of doing what Yorubas would call amanfie tesile palapalapa. We ignore the leprosy and embark on ringworm curing exercises. It is not arguable that the Nigerian judiciary is in serious need, very urgent need of a turnaround. But when you look at it almost like it is only our judiciary, and by curing that problem, we would have resolved each and every one of our problems, it would be rather simplistic for anyone to make such pronouncements. But it is critical that the foundation of any state, which is the rule of law, must be strengthened by ensuring that fit and proper persons are the ones to be found in the judicial system. That would, of course, demand that the entire process of appointment and selection of judicial officers must be revisited. It cannot continue to be a place for prebendal expression of power and largesse. It cannot be a place where, because you are the CJ, your sons and daughter-in-laws, cousins, uncle, goats, qualified or not qualified, all of a sudden becomes qualified for judicial appointment. It cannot be a place that where you reward people who have been loyal to you, regardless of whether their loyalty is backed by patriotism to the country itself. It cannot just be a reward for the good old boys and girls who have served the system, which is what it has essentially been reduced to. And when you look at the end product, which should be the dispensation of justice, and you see that there is little or no justice available to anyone within the country, not even the rich and mighty and powerful any longer, because what you now find are cacophonies of noises issuing forth from different courts, some type of coordinate jurisdiction saying different things. Look at the Kano situation, for instance. It says a lot about what has happened to us. When is a poor man who is in need of urgent judicial relief, you won't hear a thing. Nobody is offering anything. He might be there for the next 5 years without his case ever seeing the light of day. But look at how many injunctions fly all over the place. Once is the high and mighty, the powerful and the rich that are involved, even when it's their petty squabbles. But so when we're talking about judicial reform, we must understand clearly that the judiciary is but one out of the many aspects of our country that has more or less collapsed. It's only reflective of everything else. It's reflective of our educational system. It's reflective of everything about our country has come to the critical point where we must look at it honestly and stop lying to ourselves about giant of Africa and all the many lies that we tell ourselves to cover the truth of the destruction, wanton destruction of our country by those who have claimed to rule it. So, yes, we need urgent judicial reforms, but it goes beyond just looking at the judiciary. It's easier to despair when we look at our case, but yes, the judiciary needs urgent reform. It's not just about the human resource, even structural. There are urgent needs for serious structural reform in the judiciary. There is need to fund it properly. There is need to be deliberate about dispensing justice and not just appearing to be paying lip service to. How do you explain the way it is? Look at the number of people awaiting trials in our courts, and we claim to have a judicial system. It's a disgrace.
So I wanted to also, in breaking it down, I see two issues essentially, when we're talking about judicial reforms. Of course, we are looking at the rules, what the regulations are, the laws, as it were. Are there some of them that needed to change, And then there's also the issue of ethics, which is how those laws, those regulations, those rules are applied, misapplied, used, or abused. So I wanted to ask you, Dele, in your own view, which is the more compelling problem of the judiciary? Is it about the rules that needs to change, the regulations, or the ethical question?
Look, Yorubas will say, "Onlamukun eruewo." So you say to the crippled man with the load on his head, "Oh, your load is lopsided." And he responds, "You will call it lopsided because you're focused on the load on my head without looking at the crookedness of my feet." Let's be clear about something. There are sufficient rules in our books that should have stopped the retired Chief Justice of Nigeria from appointing members of his families as judicial officers. The Judicial Code of Conduct was sufficient, and you wouldn't ever have heard of any such thing before Nigeria began its speedy descent into the abyss of impunity. So when you hear me saying that corruption is not our problem in Nigeria, it is impunity, I will link it to the issue of whether it's about ethics or whether it's about a paucity of laws. We have enough laws in our books. We have enough rules in our books that should prevent the egregious abuses that we see on a daily basis that has debased our judicial system and rendered it completely unfit for purpose. There are more than enough laws and rules. So this is not about the paucity of written guidance on what should be done or not done by persons within the system. It is about a complete disregard for law. We don't even pretend that the laws matter any longer. Corruption is when the system says something should be done in a particular order or form, and then somebody is giving undue pecuniary benefit, and they then circumvent the system by speeding it up or doing something, maybe qualifying somebody who shouldn't qualify. That is corruption. But when you see a situation where people simply walk to the answer without caring anything for the process, that is what has happened to us. The same way they do wuru-wuru to the answer in answering university exam questions, promoting people within the system, it is the same thing they are doing in the judiciary. So even in judicial pronouncements now, you now see ever more ridiculous, obscene, and silly pronouncements issuing forth because there are simply no longer any regard had to common sense, what should be. Look, we have departed from the path of sense. That is why you have so many abominations flying up and down the place. It's about Who has the power? Once they have the power, they don't care about consequence. They care nothing about it. So this is no longer, our case has moved beyond whether if we were talking about ethics. Who is going to enforce the ethics? Who will enforce it? In the absence of a societal decision to walk away from this ruinous path that we all appear to have embraced as a collective. Because you would imagine that if the judiciary went mad like ours appear to have gone crazy, then maybe the religious orders, whether that be Muslim or Christian, would even have something to say to speak to the complete absence of justice, manifest and complete absence of justice from our system. But which one of them have you heard saying anything? Who has said a word? So it's not just about the judiciary, it's just that it is easier to point at the judiciary, because if you heard the rumbling of thunder, you know it's easy for you to say rain is coming. So when what should be the last hope of the common man has become as hopeless as our own judiciary has obviously become, then it becomes alarming and we start talking about the judiciary. But which part of our lives as Nigerians really in truth encourages any hope? We all need to actually look at ourselves and tell ourselves the truth that what we have done to ourselves, our children, is not sustainable. We've destroyed this country, and if we don't call ourselves back, it will be beyond redemption very soon. How do you... I'm a lawyer. I was trained as one. I would even go as far as to sometimes argue that perhaps I was born one. But here is the thing. Even me, I have cases in the system. I went to court knowing I won't get justice. Just for the record, just so that people will not say, what did you do about it? That's how hopeless our judiciary has become. Only the rich can get any vestige of justice within the system. Only the rich. Only the rich and the powerful. The judicial system has become a tool for the oppression of the weak. People went out to protest. I'm sorry, I need to make this point. People went out to protest against hunger. They went out to protest against hunger. You had somebody like Wike, governments all over the place, even the ones in Lagos State, they rushed all over the place, went to the court, to go and get injunction against people looking to protest. They used the judiciary to handcuff citizens, quote and unquote, who presume to demand the right to peaceful protest. The judiciary was the one, well, they used judges to issue pronouncements. To make the matter worse, the state went ahead and charged peaceful protesters for treason. Treason. You want to criminalize the right of protest? Treason. Hungry people came out. You are selling them daily, and you are criminalizing protest. And the judiciary has become complicit in the oppression and suppression of the Nigerian people. So if the people lose hope in the judiciary as they have, I have lost hope completely in the judiciary. That's the honest to God truth. If the people lose hope in the judiciary, what is left?
Clearly, there are quite a few people too who share those sentiments. You know, we have seen instances of very troubling decisions, and and I'm sure that there are even deeper issues that most people don't know about. But before we get too deep into it, we had on this show Chief Kanu Agabi, two-time Attorney General of the Federation, and we were talking about the judiciary, and his argument was that, look, the judges have been overworked, and he said that whatever it is that we see happening in the judiciary is because the judges have been overworked. He gave an example and said that, look, there are judges who have to deal with as much as 20 or 30 cases in one day. He even said that, look, he has worked in the executive as Attorney General, he has worked in the legislature as a senator, and being a lawyer, he has worked in the judiciary, that he still thinks that the judiciary is still the best. Now, The reason why I brought that one up is to say that certainly you too must think that there are still some good judges that are working in what you believe to be a bad system. How do you respond to that?
Let me put it this way. Every system is made up of persons. So every system is only as strong or as weak as the persons who make up the system. If you have 100 judges and you can only point at perhaps maybe 5, maybe 10, or even if you are generous, let's say 50 out of 100, and that is me being overly generous. Let's say 50 out of 100 can be said to be above board and capable of dispensing justice. And let's be clear, corruption is not only about collecting money to pervert justice within the system. Corruption is making up your mind about the case before you even heard the matter because of your own prejudices. So when you have a situation where a fair amount, even if it's 10 out of 100 that are corrupt within a judicial system, that's bad enough. But our judiciary is not any different from our police or our custom or our clergy or our teachers or our mechanics or our doctors for that matter. They are us. So when we start talking about our judges, and yeah, there are good ones amongst them, I've had occasion, I've been at the mercy of this same judiciary that I speak about all the time. I had a case where I was pursued through the court. I was convicted at the High Court. It took the mercies of the Court of Appeal justices who reviewed the appeal to quash my conviction. So it's not as if I'm speaking to a place where I am an angel and everybody are devils or demons. No. It's about the system that we have built. Even when good judges are within the system, the administrative judges will not give them cases that involves persons of power where they know that the judge would not do their bidding. These are things that lawyers know. There was once upon a time in this Lagos state when a particular person was in power as governor in Lagos state. When you sued Lagos state, and that is the practice until today, if you sue a Lagos state agency or you sue the Lagos state government, you will be collecting dates when the judges knew they would not even be sitting. So you might have a case in court for the next 5 years. Every time you went to court, you are going to get an adjournment because you are suing the parties that may not be sued. That's the kind of system that we have evolved. We've evolved. The best that our judicial system can deliver the way it is currently is maybe the administration of impunity. So you just take care of those that must not be touched, and at best give the semblance of justice to the victims of the system. But we've not evolved a judicial system that is truly capable of upholding the rule of law, dealing with everybody as equals, and truly being blind as the goddess of justice is meant to be, holding a just scale and a sword that would do justice as between the parties that are before it, until our country is structured to deliver justice, until the judges themselves are related to the people to whom they are meant to be dispensing justice, until each and every one of us understand the fact that the more we weaken the fabric of the society by making...
Is it not time for the Nigerian elite, as part of how we can begin to reform our entire society, to be able to say that, look, these are the minimum levels and standards of operation, be it in politics, be it in the judiciary, be it in education, be it in business, that, look, these are the minimum. And one of them is to enforce and ensure that we have the rule of law. Your take, Mr. Farotimi.
Me, as you would have recalled from our past conversations, I'm big on linguistic exactitude. So when you use the phrase, the Nigerian elite, question is, who is the Nigerian elite? Sybaritic myopic, people consumed by consumption. They don't think beyond what they will eat next, what they will drink. That's the only thing that ever crosses their minds. It's just about existing. They don't think beyond their lifetime. All they focus on is a stupid acquisition of money, obscene display of debauchery of all sorts, ever more debased acquisition of the commonwealth. Are those the ones you call elite? Mindless pursuit of money as if they are going to live forever. They live stupidly consumed by the pursuit of money. We don't have elite in Nigeria. We have no elite in Nigeria. If we were a country blessed with an elite class, they would have demanded better, both of themselves and of the society they have built. You know the tragedy of the people you are calling elite? The pinnacle of their achievement in their own eyes is their capacity to buy homes abroad and send their children abroad and be able to take their children abroad. They build things that their children cannot even inherit. They are building a country that their children can't survive in. Are those the ones you are calling elite? Which elite? Nigeria is not blessed with an elite class. Wherever you look at it, whether it's in the academia, whether it's in politics, whether it's in the economy itself, which elite? The only thing they compete about is my private jet is bigger than yours. That's all now. Which elite? What is elite about our society? Exactly what have they done in the society that is suggestive of a people that may be considered elite? What elite? All of them are carrying second passports. Each and every one of the person you may call elite in Nigeria today has a second passport. If the British who governs us indirectly or the Americans who benefit from our putrefaction have not granted them either permanent stay or residence or their passport, their children are carrying it, or they will go and buy one of the Mediterranean countries' passports, or they will go to say all these funny countries, Grenadine, this one, that one, each and every, including your traditional rulers, they all carry all these funny passports up and down the place. Are those the ones they are calling elite? Elites living in slums. Those are the elites. We have no elites in Nigeria. Don't let's fool ourselves. We have no elites. So please, stop. You don't have an elite. I'm sorry to say. There is no elite in Nigeria. Please.
But my point, I understand your sentiments, Mr. Farotimi. My point is that we must find, and I know that you believe that a lot of these things are hopeless, but we must, to the extent that we are alive, we must find a redemptive cause. There must be things that... wait, brother, just a minute. There must be things that we should be able to talk about where we can say that, okay, look, this thing is ruined. This is how to rebuild. And that's what I'm trying to get you to talk about. Yes.
Okay.
Go ahead, please.
Remember, I came into the public space in Nigeria in February 2015. From that time up until date, I warned Nigerians each and every time they were getting to junctions and they were about to make errors. I warned our rulers, I warned the people themselves. Over the years, each and every critical moment, I did not find the peace of the grave. I kept my mouth open. I never kept quiet. And each time, I also offered solutions. I didn't merely lament about the problems. I went further. I wrote down the solutions. So I have never been quiet. I even participated in the last election. I got involved. So I have never been quiet, and I offered solutions. And this time again, I'm not shy. It's the same solution. That's why I keep saying that we are lying to ourselves when we look at sectors. Our problem is systemic. We need to be honest enough to tell ourselves that our situation is abnormal. And you cannot find salvation within the existing system. The existing system is incapable of delivering anything positive. And in the knowledge of that, I have said repeatedly over the years, we need a revolution in Nigeria. The only duty of the conscious is to ensure that that revolution does not become violent. We're already in a tailspin. We're already entering multiple cycles of violence. The only reason the people appear to be docile is because nobody wants to go and fight without purpose. So, those who believe that our system is unsustainable as it is, and I believe that the thing we should be doing is to be discussing the plan for the day after. Without a plan for the day after, what you have is chaos. Nkrumah was very specific. He said revolutions are brought about by men of action who act as men of thought. You don't go onto the street and start burning. It's our commonwealth you'll be burning. But it's within our right to tell our rulers that we can no longer accept the way we are being ruined. It's within our rights, even the democratic rights of citizens. Even though you might not treat us as citizens, even our human right says that you cannot beat a child and then demand or dictate how loudly it must cry. The only thing that we have failed to do is to organize ourselves in a manner that forces it on the ruiners to understand that we are united in our demand. Look at what is happening in Maiduguri. They told you this dam was going to break. You were told, you knew. Like less than a week before it eventually broke, you came out and said, your team of experts said nothing will happen. They don't care about us. And we can't continue in this manner. And what happened in Maiduguri is not unique to Maiduguri. You find it replicated across the length and breadth of Nigeria. There is no part of our country that has escaped this madness. So why has it become so difficult for us? Because, like you said, you are looking for elite. It is that elite class that should be building the consensus, that should be making the plan for the day after. But where are they? They are drinking 32-year-old whiskey. They are chasing their next big kill. Those are the ones that should now be telling the people that they should be having plan for the day after the mess that we have become immersed in. So when you say solution, the solution is clear. We simply can't continue like this. What you call a revolution is simply a turnaround. It's simple. The military can come with their banditry and then turn revolution into something that is supposedly violent, because each and every military adventurers and bandits call their people, they say Revolutionary Army Council. Bandits calling themselves revolutionary. So they spoiled the name. But what is a revolution? It simply means a turnaround. You have to turn around. If you don't know where you are going, you must at least know where you are coming from.
Welcome to Shamra Senior Steve.